Hey guys, Paul from Ashen Phoenix. It's new comic book day for the week of July 19th. We're going to get started right now. This episode brought to you by Paul and Tim Do a Thing. We do a thing. You should check it out. New videos drop in like 4 times a week. Sometimes even 5. But like at least 4.
Hey guys, Tim from Capes and Scowls. Paul and Tim Do a Thing, comic book store, and Ashen. I always forget one of them. I have trades. You want to talk about it? I got the Overstreet Comic Price Guide. For those of you that still like the price guide, there's a couple covers. You got some Death Dealer, you got some Avengers. It comes in hardcover, softcover. Overstreet. We've got Batman, Arkham, Catwoman. This series they've done before for other characters. They're pretty cool. They just kind of pick some interesting stories for each character. We got Lovesick. This sold really good in issues. Interesting, weird, horror, torture kind of story. Joker presents Puzzle Box. This is Rosenberg. I really enjoyed the little bit I read of this. Rosenberg is a delight. We've got Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5, continuing this bizarre story that is going on. It's pretty weird. We've got Young Justice Targets, which was a recent miniseries, 1 through 6, collected here. Young Justice is always fun. Radiant Black is up to Volume 4. You never kept up with that, Paul, did you?
It was pretty good, but it became a big universe, so it was kind of tough to follow.
Avengers Assemble. This actually has a ton of issues in it. That's pretty cool. This definitely looks like the way to go if you want to read this story, because there is a bunch of things collected here. And then finally we got Human Target. This is the second half of this story, this 12-issue maxi. Maybe we're going to talk about it more on this channel later in the week, but maybe not.
First up, and nearly my pick of the week, is I Hate Fairyland, issue number 7. This craziness just keeps getting worse. King Claudius has assembled Gerts from around the time to get together and kill this version of Gert. And it is quite possibly the most bloodiest issue I've ever seen from a I Hate Fairyland book. And that's saying something, because this, while comical, is a really violent book and has always had been a very, very, very violent book. But wow, they turned this up to 11. It's a lot of fun and not a very interesting end to this issue. So I'm very curious to see how this goes. First trade is out, so it shouldn't be too hard to catch up to see what is happening in this particular book. But the art is fantastic, the writing is hilarious, and you should definitely check it out.
All right, first up for me, we have Moon Knight, City of the Dead. This is a big old cool book, mini-series, focusing on Moon Knight, who has just witnessed a young child that is under his protection go down to some street violence, and he is trying to keep him alive. It is a daunting task involving Hunter's Moon as well, in order to try to save the kid, because his soul is not yet damned. He goes to the ethereal realms and tries to win back his soul, essentially. It is a really bizarre but awesome story. David Pepos does a very good job of just explaining some of the things from his past as it relates to this current story. And he does a great job of bringing back some obscure things and bringing in some things that maybe they were talking about more in the show, and just kind of streamlining a lot of Moon Knight and making it a little more accessible for any new fans. So I think this book is a must-read. It was nearly my pick of the week. I had a good time, and I definitely think you should check this out.
What's going on, guys? My name is Matt of Capes and Scowls and the comic book store fame, and I am back to tell you what I thought of 2 more comic books. This week, I kept with Night Terrors. This week I went with DC's Night Terrors, Nightwing number 1. I was a little lost after reading last week's Night Terrors, but after being able to get into a specific character's storyline, it seems like this idea is starting to make a lot more sense. Basically, Nightwing wakes up in Arkham Asylum, doesn't know how he got there, doesn't know who his cellmate is, and doesn't know how he's going to get out. It pretty much sets up a lot of things to be answered in issue 2. If you're a fan of Nightwing, the twist involved is pretty interesting. It seems to me like Night Terror is going to flesh out and be something that has a very substantial conclusion in regards to the entirety of the DC universe. Night Terrors, Nightwing number 1. Check it out.
And my pick of the week, it is Hawk Girl issue number 1. I was not expecting this to be as good as it was. I don't really know a lot about Hawk Girl. Don't really, not like high on my list on any of the JLA or Justice League or anything like that. This was an amazingly well-written book. It is obviously the dawn of DC, so it is kind of the reset for the Hawk Girl series. But she has moved to Metropolis and trying to do her own thing now that the Justice League is no more, and trying to see where she fits into this world of superpowered people, because Metropolis is kind of like packed with a lot of superpowered people, particularly a lot of Kryptonians and stuff like that. So while there is need for her special skills, she still feels kind of a fish out of water. Meanwhile, there is a very nefarious plot going on that will affect her, because she is uniquely tied into this MacGuffin that is going to be happening. And really good. Art was fantastic. And like I said, the writing really made you care about this story from the very, very beginning. Loved the flash forwards, the flashbacks, all that kind of stuff. This was really, really good. Highly recommend picking this up. And yeah, grab it.
All right, it's time for my pick of the week. Paul, do you know what my pick of the week is?
I mean, I can see
You can see it's a really big book. It's hard to hide it. It's A Vicious Circle, issue 2. I love Lee Bermeo. I love his art. I think it's amazing. Mattson Tomlin doing the story here. What an interesting story. If you don't recall, it's been a minute since issue 1. Basically, it's these two guys fighting through different times and multiverse kind of things. And every single time they murder a person, or a person dies as a result of them, they get launched through time. And we kind of get a callback to issue 1 in this, and why things went the way, why we were starting where we were. And it's a very cool story where you just don't know what's going on, and you're just rooting for this main character, and he's constantly at a disadvantage, especially going through time, because he's a black man, so racism plays into it. He's like, I got no advantages, trying to make it through just awful timelines and some awful scenarios. There is a very interesting plot twist that happens, and I was all here for it. The art is beautiful. There is an art switch at a point, stylistically, which I was also all about. The book is amazing. It's a piece of art, and you definitely should check it out.
And my pick of the week for this week is Tales of the Titans, starring Starfire. I think this is a very cool concept. It looks like it's going to be a 4-issue mini. Each issue is going to focus on one of the Titans specifically, one of the lesser publicized Titans. This week we get Starfire. It seems like next month we're going to be getting Beast Boy, Raven, Donna Troy. It's a great way to kind of dive into a little more of the ongoings of what happens at Titan Tower. And it's a way to get to see some of your favorite heroes in action. We get to see Starfire handle some situations on her own, really get to come into her own and really start to accept the role of princess of a dead planet. Tales of the Titans, starring Starfire. Check it out.
All right, guys, that's it. Thank you for sticking with us all this time. Campfire Ashes, the part 2. You want to know how it ends? Did you not? I told you you had to. Did you do it last time? Go over there, wherever you get your podcast, listen to the part 1, get the part 2, learn about the story, and you're going to love it. It's going to be great. But that's about it. We're wrapping up here, and we'll catch you next week. So thanks.